Hello, it's Friday, it's the 29th of May, it's the final episode of SBTV. I hope you're well. Been enjoying this lovely sunshine that we've had all week. Unbelievable. It bodes well for Whitby next year when we'll be hopefully enjoying similar weather. I guess you know this is the last ever SBTV, well, scheduled to be the last SBTV. That could all change if this nasty virus refuses to go away. We might get to episode 10 and so on. Fingers crossed for some, I guess. Others are desperate to get back to school. I know that. Not that much to get through really, because I think technically we are on holiday, we are half-terming. So we haven't had loads and loads of photos, but what we've had have been brilliant, and we'll share the competition entries. We'll announce the winner of the Gold Coin League and everything, tidy up all the loose ends today, because next week we have to start preparing and thinking about what we're going to do when we get back to school. Lots of plans are already in place, but we've got to sort out the final details and then work towards getting ready for Monday the 8th, when we'll be welcoming back Year 6 and more pupils will gradually start to come back. Very exciting, slightly a nervous time as well, I guess, but one thing's for sure, it'll be nice to see everybody again. Shall we have a look at the photos that have come in? Now, we wouldn't have had SBTV if you hadn't sent your photographs in and your clips and everything. So thank you, genuinely thank you for sending them. It's been absolutely brilliant to see all the activities that you've been getting up to. Let's start with one of our regulars, Alana. Here she is. She's been out with the family, taking a nature walk by the lake there, helping in the garden with what looks like a little bit of bricklaying. We're certainly broadening our skill set and we're developing all sorts of talents that we never had before. That's really good to see. And thank you, Alana, for everything that you've done for SBTV. Really kind. Now, these next photos came with a very nice message as well from Daisy's mum. It was a really lovely email that she sent. And it's great to see her looking so busy and keeping fit. And we may have a new arrival on the way to add to the family of pets. But we've got a little shot of the rabbit there, and then Daisy enjoying herself, and it looks like she's bumped into a familiar face at the coast there. Again, making the most of the really good weather. That's really nice to see, Daisy. Well done, and thank you for everything you've done by sending in. Next up, Thomas. Of course, Thomas is always busy, and here you can see that on his photos, whether it's caring for the baby or doing his science, animating, coding, a fun way of doing maths, and generally just keeping very busy. Wonderful to see, Thomas, and it's been a pleasure to bump into you on your fitness walks every now and then. Very much looking forward to seeing you back in school, sir, when we can. And then next up is another regular, and it's been our Matilda, and again she's been making the most of the really good weather. Look at that lovely blue sky there. So she's been in the paddling pool constantly, either in costume as a little princess or some other character, or in her pajamas, I am reliably informed via email. Again, it's been great to see everything you've been getting up to, Matilda. Looks like you've been very busy, learning lots of new skills as well. Really good to see. Thank you very much for sharing everything that you have as well. And then Miss Parkin has sent us these from class 2, and we've got Polgara, who has been dressing as a fairy and hiding around the garden, and then taking charge in the kitchen with her wonderful cooking. Having to stand on a chair to get the job done there, but at least it's working, and I can't wait to sample a lot of this new cooking talent that we've developed over these last 10-12 weeks, whatever it's been. I'm sure the standard of the bun sales will be through the roof in 2021, as well as some wonderful cooking and baking that will, I'm sure, make its way into school. And then of course we've got Indy and Paola. Paola had a trip to the coast and braved it in the sea, although the sky looks blue, the water does look cold by her reaction there. And Indy has been developing her own farm and nurturing crops that she will be able to cultivate. That's really good to see, Indy. Maybe you'll have your own farm one day, you never know. And then finally to our prolific sharer of photographs, and it's been absolutely wonderful, and thank you for sharing all that you have over this lockdown period. It's Anya, of course. And you can see here in this wide selection of photographs, she's really hit the key of variety. Whether it's baking, laying on parties for family members, taking in visitors, venturing out for her exercise, very talented baking skills, keeping up with her academic work, and then some huge acts of kindness. She's made lots of cards and individual gifts for various people who are a lot less fortunate than herself in very difficult circumstances, and she's very, very kindly gone out of her way to try and brighten people's days with her artwork and kind words. So well done to you, really good to see. And I hope some of these are going to make it into school. Like Betty's hot pot pies, I wasn't feeling hungry until I saw them, but they look absolutely sensational. And I trust your first day back you will be bringing one in, ideally for Mr. Sharp, Mr. Freeman, Mr. Beaumont, Mrs. Wassell, Mrs. Williams will definitely have one, maybe two, Mrs. Howitt. Now, again, a bit like the photos, there's not many clips this particular week for the final week. I thought we'd be inundated, but maybe we've just decided to get outside, enjoy the weather, and we've stopped filming things. It's very important to preserve memories by capturing them on film, though. Remember that. Please do remember that, and try, where possible, maybe once a week, to film something of those special and close to you. It's really important that you try and film and capture as much as you can, as often as you can. I always like, as a big Labo M fan, I always like to hear from Mimi. It just resonates with me somewhat. This is mind-blowing, okay? We don't have much this week, but what we do have is of exceptionally high quality. It is a lesson in DNA. She's latched onto her mum's computer. She's hacked into the, well, not hacked in, she was invited in to look at the university work that mum was doing, and all of a sudden she's become a superb scientist. And here's a very detailed explanation.
Hi guys, so today I'll be talking about the genetic bases in the DNA. So the DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. So first you start off with a bunch of letters, and would you believe me if I told you that you was only made up of 4 different letters? These are the letters that they mostly use: the A, T and the G, C. So every person in the world has a different code to them 4 letters. So I'm going to tell you the complementary strand of this DNA sequence. So this A right here represents a T. So if you see an A, it means a T. And if you see a T, it represents an A. It's the same for the G and the C. If you see a C, it's a G, and if you see a G, it's a C. So the complementary strand of this would be T, C, G, G, C, T, G, G, T, G, and so on. So thank you for watching my little chat about the DNA bases and also showing you it. Bye!
See, I told you. Wow, where did Mrs. McLaughlin will be skipping around her house, having seen that, knowing that someone is as enthusiastic and so intellectual on the subject at such a tender age. Well done, keep that going. I think you could definitely be following in Mum's footsteps and going off to university. Okay, so it's the big one, the 10 coin giveaway, the final weekly challenge for you to get involved with. If you remember, earlier this week it was Cooper's 10th birthday and he had a wonderful day. The weather was good. He was able to enjoy his the full leg of lamb, can you believe it? He tucked into virtually a full leg of lamb. And he was a bit, you know, like when you're on Christmas Day, all you want to do is put some loose-fitting slacks and lay on the settee perhaps to watch the film. Yeah, get that full Christmas Day feeling. Well, Cooper was definitely like that for the rest of Tuesday. He was bloated and full, and extremely happy and content, let me tell you. So to round that off, we obviously had this competition to design a birthday card or some sort of poster to help celebrate his milestone 10th birthday. And there were some absolutely sensational entries. I think there were 10 or 12. Really impressive. I would have found it impossible to pick a winner. Shall we have a look at them? Because they're very impressive and we need to credit them individually. First up was Kajik. And this was very, very effective artwork. And it's mainly done by drawing the shadow. And you can see the size of it by in comparison to Kajik holding it up there. It's probably done on A3 paper. That is absolutely remarkable. And then a very similar technique was taken on by his younger sister, Liliana. And she went for a much closer up version of Cooper. Stunning work. This was very heartwarming because it does have a look of Cooper, to be fair. Excellent use of colours as well from Matilda, a bit of a collage effect. Really, really impressive. You've been really impressive throughout, actually, Matilda, with these challenges. Daisy certainly knows how to draw on the heartstrings with an adorable little picture of Cooper there. And she made a collage of as many names of the word Cooper as she could possibly find, as well as arranging some letters on the beach while she was there in shells. Alana did this very striking design, very colourful and full of happy birthday cheer. And although this wasn't an entry, she did work on this with her dad and sent it late on Wednesday afternoon, because she's been working with Dad on Photoshop and developing her skills that way. And it's really accomplished that, to be able to drain all but some of the colour out of a picture. It's very, very effective. That is the type of thing you'd pay a fortune for. And Photoshop skills are very, very high in demand, so keep up that work on that. Again, this has had a lot of work from Ego. Huge poster there. Very bright, very colourful, and he's used the photographs off the internet. Lots of bones like what Cooper had on his birthday. That really is stunning work. Now, this is a screenshot of Lucy, who didn't necessarily make a card or a poster. She made a video message, and it was really, really impressive. And I think Lucy is part human and part canine, actually. She always makes me laugh with her impressions, and this one she got into full character to make this little video, so I think we need to just pause for a moment and look at her creation.
Happy birthday, Cooper. We all hope you have the best birthday ever. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, birthday, happy birthday from us.
Absolutely brilliant, that. And then Thomas has turned his version of Cooper into a superhero with Superdog, and again a very good likeness. Got the good colour that Cooper is, and his wonderful sort of Superman pants and purple boots. That's absolutely wonderful, and a great message on there. Well done to you, Thomas. This was certainly one of my favourites from Daisy. Very, very, very talented. That is the type of thing you would see in a shop. It's very accomplished, very professional, as indeed is this from younger sister Poppy, with a bright, colourful message at the bottom, and she's really got a likeness on Cooper's eyes there. Seth went for a cute, humorous effect with his putting Cooper in outer space, using his smart sketcher. That's a little bit like Jasper the Space Dog that we went to Grim & Co with. And then finally another one from the Rhodes household, and the usual creative high standard. Here you can see Ida has made her versions of Cooper with a lovely message hidden under the bone, and they were made entirely out of papier-mâché, so like a 3D effect. Absolutely brilliant. They were all sensational. I would give 10 coins to you all for entering and for making Cooper's birthday so special. Well done. If I can get hold of those at all, I will make sure they are saved or at least go up on display. Well done. But who wins? Well, if you remember, we owe Cooper's existence in our lives down to Master Wassel, Jacob. I packaged them up as per normal, in the spirit of fairness, cut all names, all references off. All he could see was the actual artwork itself, put them on display and sent them over to him Wednesday night, I think it was. and sat in the sunshine after a long review. Typically with Jacob, it will not be rushed. He took his time, he looked at them all in great detail, and then eventually he came up with this announcement.
Yeah, I looked through all of them and they're all very good for Cooper's 10th birthday. They were all artsy and good, but the one that caught my eye the most because it was fun and creative and it made me chuckle, number 11.
Number 11, Seth. Well done, sir. From nowhere, you are now sitting pretty at the top of the leaderboard. There you are, first place, 10 gold coins. It's going to be quite an anxious wait this till we get to the quiz, because if nobody else on that leaderboard can get a win, then you are guaranteed joint first place, because if someone wins the quiz who's never had to go before and gets 10, then they'll be joining you in first place. But other than that, at this moment in time, certainly for the next few minutes, you are in first place with quite a substantial lead. Fingers crossed, sir, that it stays that way. We need the results of the quiz. It's the long haul challenge, remember. Lots of things. I was very, very upset, if you remember, about this, but it was all a waste of energy, that, because it was unnecessary, because lots and lots of things had been taking place on this long haul challenge. We know about Mr. Freeman's book, we know about Charlie's book, mine can go on there, we've got Luke Athy's. I've since heard that there are about 4 or 5 others that are well in development, but rightly, don't blame me for this, you want to keep them a little bit secret for now. That's part of the storytelling experience, I guess. You want to keep the ideas to yourself for now, so I fully understand that. You want to keep it private. We'll save that till they're ready to publish. However, we have had another sneak peek, and it comes from Alana, who I told you about earlier, had been working with her dad on Photoshop, and she's very kindly shared her book cover. It's The Dragon Rescue. You can see it here. Can't wait to read that. And of course, and I know it will be of a high standard in terms of the writing, but I'm equally impressed by that front cover as well, because Alana, again, she's been developing her skills in Photoshop, and she's sketched out and come up with that work, original work. So she's designed her own cover and illustrations as well. That is the complete package, really. Normally you have to pay someone to do the illustrations when you're a talented writer, but with you, you're going to be able to do it all. Can't wait to read it. Keep working on it. There's no real rush. We won't even start this process till around about September, when we do, hopefully, fingers crossed, go back. But really looking forward to it. Hopefully there'll be a lot more, and we'll be able to have a very well stocked digital library. Quiet week on the art front. Not much happening at all. Remember, we've got these pens now. We have the Apple pencils, so we'll be doing a lot more digital art when we go back to school, whenever that may be. But someone who's been practicing constantly during this lockdown period is Finn Howitt, and here you can see the wonderful work he's been creating. I'm afraid I don't know if that's an original character or a copy of something, but as you can see, he's developed his art, very effective use of colour and shading, and rightfully very proudly showing off his work. Looks to be like a Star Wars lightsaber in hand there, Finn. Very good, very talented. So birthdays, again, I've not had over much information about birthdays. I'm sure they have been happening. Obviously we've had a very big one this week with Cooper's. And although this isn't strictly a birthday, on Monday, which was the 25th, it was the feast of St. Bede. I'm sure you all knew that. And here is a snapshot of the stained glass, which you can see when St. Bede's reopens. Telling all about the life of St. Bede's, really, from when he entered the monastery at the age of 7. When the monks welcomed him in, probably escorted on by some medieval charity worker there. And then his monastic life as a monk, illustrating the books and being taught by the monks and praying. And then really for what St Bede's was famous for being an author and a scholar and a historian, and committing his knowledge down into paper with beautiful calligraphy, written with a quill pen probably. And then finally St Bede's, with his death imminent, surrounded by the monks who were all praying for him and no doubt petitioning to God for St Bede's immortal soul. So very interesting to see that. And normally we would have had a mass in school, but that didn't happen, and it wouldn't have happened because it would have been half term. So the fact that we're able to mark it today is extra special. Now, today of all days is a very special birthday for someone not directly associated with school, but very strongly connected. It is, of course, Mr. Wassell. And he hasn't had a specific COVID-19 cut. His hair is always that short. An exceptional brother-in-law who helps to keep the streets safe while we're all sound asleep. And here you can see him training his two police dogs, Buddy and Vesper, who found an old disused bath up near Keppel's Column and decided to get into it, which then meant that they all had to have a big bath when they got back home. Not Mr. Wassell and the dogs, that doesn't happen. Anyway, very many happy returns, sir. Hope you have a great day. Very important that we acknowledge this. Not quite 50 yet. Mrs. Wassell went for a younger model because we all know that Mrs. Wassell is 50 this year in December. Little sneaky peek of a bit of information there. I'm sure we'll have to plan something special if we're back in school. They declined to comment on camera, your son Jacob and Mrs. Wassell. However, our ever-friendly postman had this to say.
Happy 48th birthday, Dad. Keep yourself safe, don't drink too much, and look after Vesper and Buddy. See you later, bye. And Cooper. See you later, have a good day on Friday, was. Bye.
Nice to see him there. He was hobbling around a little bit. He had a little fall down the stairs, did our Luke. Only the garden stairs. He did sprain his ankle and he struggled on his round for a couple of days, but he's back to full fitness now, thankfully. And then next Friday, obviously there won't be any more St Bede's TV, so we'll catch this one. It's about as it's Mrs. Holt, and again we never reveal the age of a lady, so we'll just perhaps say that she's 18 again. But we hope very much that you have a great day. I'm sure your family will spoil you totally. And it's also worth acknowledging as well that while we're on special anniversaries and things, that this year marks the anniversary of the greatest film ever made, ever, of all time. It is 40 years since The Empire Strikes Back first hit the screens. There's lots of commemorative artwork and posters. There'll be a digital remastered version of the film, I'm sure. It is my absolute favourite #1 film of all time. And although Mrs. McDowell very kindly made me a mask the other day, I am desperate to get hold of one of these. Saw them online, but they were an American firm. I am desperate. If anyone knows where they sell those in the UK, I would very happily purchase one, because at the moment my only face mask for going back to school is a little heavy and I can't really breathe. And when I'm trying to talk about our promise about faith, I'll just really struggle because
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
So, staff challenge time, the final staff challenge. Thank you, incidentally, for all the wonderful contributions you've made via email, all the weird and wonderful suggestions. I haven't thrown those away, because if we get locked down again for any reason, or this virus doesn't fully go away, we'll certainly have a bank of things there. You really are quite cruel when it comes to Mr. Sharp, but they have made me laugh. I did commit to say that if we ever get to episode 13, I will do both the tasks, and I will keep that promise just in case. But anyway, you'll remember this one was difficult. It was for Mrs. Hart and for Mr. Beaumont, and they had to recall from memory all the matches their football team have played this season so far, and it was about 26, 27 matches, something like that. I hadn't realised that Sheffield Wednesday have to play a lot more matches than Sheffield United. The Premier League don't play as many as the Championship. Didn't know that, why would I? But Mrs. Hart very kindly pointed that out in the spirit of fairness. She didn't want Mr. Beaumont to have to be saying and memorising more than what she did. Very fair player, very honest. If she wants to try and win, she will win on fair and equal terms, and that's why we adore everything that Mrs. Hart represents. She was wasting her time, I think, because this could prove to be a one-horse race. We'll find out. It isn't easy. It isn't easy to try and remember a list of 10 things, never mind 20 odd, and then put the scores on as well. I really struggled with my memory until I went on a course to improve my memory, and now I can remember something, you know, a list as long as 2,000 things long. It really wouldn't matter. I've got a technique which I've developed and learned. I never need a script for things like this. I can just rattle it all up because I have this system. It's the truth. I know you probably think I'm pulling your leg, and if we get time ever one day, I will teach you that technique. It is remarkable because you must try and preserve and exercise your mind. So this, I think Mrs. Hart spent 3 days revising for this and working at it. Don't know how many times she attempted to film it. I think we'll start with Mrs. Hart. Remember, this is all about having a go. To get the green tick, you just have to have a go. But we've also turned this into a bit of a race to see, can you do it and who can do it in the quickest time. So over to you, Mrs. Hart.
Hi to everybody, thank you for the challenge to name the 28 Premier League fixtures of Sheffield United this season. I'm going to start with the beginning of the season and work towards when the season was put on hold. So the first fixture was against Bournemouth and we drew 1-1. We beat Crystal Palace 1-0, we lost to Leicester 2-1, drew with Chelsea 2-2. We then went on to lose to Southampton 1-0, beat Everton 2-0, lost to Liverpool 1-0, drew with Watford 0-0. We beat Arsenal 1-0, drew with West Ham 1-1, beat Burnley 3-0, drew with Tottenham 1-1, drew with Man United 3-3, drew with Wolves 1-1, then we beat... No, we didn't. We lost to Newcastle 2-0. And beat Norwich 2-1. Beat Aston Villa 2-0. Beat Brighton 1-0. Drew with Watford 1-1. Lost to Man City 2-0. Lost to Liverpool 2-0. Beat West Ham 1-0. Drew with Arsenal 1-1. Lost to Man City 1-0. We then beat Crystal Palace 1-0. Beat Bournemouth 2-1. Drew with Brighton 1-1 and beat Norwich 1-0. Did I manage to get through that, Oliver?
Yes, you did.
Fantastic. It's only taken me 3 days.
Yes.
Hope you managed to do the challenge as well, Mr. Beaumont. Good luck and hope to see you all again soon. Keep safe. Bye.
Very, very, very impressive. 1 minute 49. And you could tell that was genuine. There were no visual prompts anyway. I know she had a sort of poker face with her poker glasses on. But you could see that she was looking at the camera and she was really struggling at times to recall from memory, but she let slip that she'd confessed to revising in blocks of 4 and doing the scores and things like that. Very, very, very well done. Not easy at all, especially under pressure like that. So, Mr. Beaumont, a very difficult act to follow. I'm sure you will give it great gusto. I'm sure you've put equally as much revision time into this. I'm sure I didn't just wake you up on Wednesday with a call to say, have you got your video clip? I know you'll have been working hard because it's the sign of the new, improved, radically improved Mr. Beaumont. It's a sign of what we've got to look forward to. I'm sure. Let's be amazed by this video. Here we go.
Okay, I know I'm not going to do very well in this, but I've got my Wednesday shirt on anyway, just to represent the boys. You know, I'm going to put a little bit of a excuse in. It is an excuse. But Mrs. Hart has definitely got easier teams to remember. I think she has got teams of significance in her league, like Man United, Man City, Arsenal, and I've got Luton Town, Wigan, and I don't know, Preston. But we'll go for it anyway. Okay, so first game of the season, we played Reading away. I was there. We won 3-1 and we went top of the league. Buzzing. The next game was Barnsley at home. We won 2-0. You know, top of the league Saturdays, 2 weeks in a row. And then reality settled in because our next game was Millwall, I believe, away from home, and we lost 1-0. Then we definitely won again. We won. I think it was Luton Town, 1-0 at home. Then after Luton, we had 2 away games in a row. One of them I went to. No, we didn't. Preston away, lost 2-1. Then we lost at home against QPR, and that's all of August done. And now struggling big time. I think in September we played Leeds, 0-0 at home. I'm not proper struggling. I don't even know how many that was, 5, 6. I know that on November the 30th we played Charlton away, won 3-1. That was a good day. I know that on December 14th we played Forest away from home and won 4-0. You can tell the results that I'm remembering, can't you? Then we went third just before Christmas because we beat Swansea, Bristol City at home, 1-0. And then Boxing Day, it all started to go downhill. We lost 3-2 away at Stoke. Then we lost maybe 2-0 at home to Cardiff. Then I think 1-0 at home to Hull we lost. And then on in... I don't even know why I'm doing this because it's not going to get me any points. I know that it's got to be consecutive, but I'm just restoring a bit of pride. I know that on the 11th of January we went to Elland Road and won 2-0. That was a very good day. And then I'm pretty much out, except the last result before all lockdown and stuff happened. I know that we lost 5-0 away at Brentford. That was embarrassingly bad. So I'm going to say it now. Congratulations, Mrs. Hart. I've done so bad there. Well done.
Perhaps, but I just don't know what to say. Perhaps he hadn't been given a strategy. Perhaps he's been that busy he hasn't been able to take to the internet to learn mind memory maps and things like that. Perhaps he's not really as big a football fan as we were led to believe. Obviously, Mrs. Hart is the bigger football fan. She has represented the red side of Sheffield far better than the blue side. Well done. Congratulations to you both for having a go. D did not finish, basically that means. So there's no qualifying time at all. He lost the race. He lost when he started randomly picking dates. Not easy at all. Well done for having a go. Congratulations, Mrs. Hart. Very, very, very impressive. Now, obviously, this is the point where we would set a new weekly challenge for 2 members of staff, but we're off air. That's it. It's going to stop. But there is an amazing opportunity, and you've probably seen this earlier in the week because Mr. Freeman shared this news. Our friends at Discovery Education, who partnered with Nike to come up with the fitness scheme that Active Kids Do Better, they want us to feature in a film. Now, because of our involvement with Discovery over the years, we are one of only a handful of schools that actually have the Gold Award for this. Especially with our new facilities, with the track and how committed our young people are and the range of sports that we're involved with. They are desperate for us to be involved in a brand new film. And really, it's all about hearing from young people who take part in sport, and they want to hear about your experiences of why you do it, what you enjoy about doing it, what do you get out of it, perhaps the social side of it, where you may make new friends. Were you initially not interested in sport and you've since become obsessed by it? Those types of things. Now, all they want is for you to make a little home movie, if you like. Perhaps get your trusted adult to film this. It must be filmed. It's got to be filmed in landscape. I know I keep harping on about it, and you might just think that's one of Mr. Sharp's things, but this is a professional film company, and they are making a film that's going to go out on a wide variety of media, and if it is filmed like that, portrait, they will just reject it. They will not include it at all. You are wasting your time if you film that way. I wish that the manufacturers of these devices would stop the camera from working in this mode, because the only time you'd ever really take a picture like that is for a portrait picture that you might put on the wall, or for a passport or something like that. The vast majority of time you should always film in this way, but when it's definitely for something professional like this, they will want to ensure it's in landscape mode. So please make sure that you do that. And this is all about you just telling us what you like and what you love about being involved with sport. So the lady who's running this is called Lucy, and she's the senior news producer and the head of topical content at Discovery Education. And she rightly acknowledges that lockdown has meant that they've been working on a lot more user-generated content shot on phones and by teachers and pupils, and it's helped them develop some brilliant features. And they're really keen for the pupils of St Bede's to get involved with something that they can share on their platform for National School Sports Week, which would mean that we've got to get all our content into them by about the 11th or the 12th. So about 3 weeks to get all this up and running and ready. And what they are really looking for are for children to become young reporters. And they want you to sort of talk to the camera, a little bit like what I'm doing now, and tell the viewers who will be watching, why did you get involved with this sport? What is it that you love about it? What skills do you need, and how quickly have you developed those skills? Have you found it easy? Have you found it difficult? And maybe mix that in with some footage of you actually doing the sport. So maybe you could watch a couple of reporters. You could, if you want to, look on our St Bede's Woodles channel and look at some of the entries that the children did for BAFTA that time, where they spoke about becoming young reporters and they were speaking directly to the camera. You will need to be enthusiastic, you will need to be lively and active. If you're just sort of very one-toned and not very interesting and you're not really looking at the camera, then I don't think it'll get used, quite honestly. You know what we're looking for here. You've got to be very upbeat, very lively, and try, and I know we've got lots and lots and lots of sports that we cover, try maybe to not focus on the obvious. They don't need 50 reports about being a footballer, because most young people like to play football. Think of, lots of the things like the martial arts. I know Mr. Freeman mentioned those. We've got Ethan and Finn, they do things like that. Lots of people doing trampolining at the moment in the garden. You might dance competitively. There's all sorts. Maybe you'd like to swim. So how are you coping? What are you doing? Maybe you've got a paddling pool set up. Or you know what to do here. Now, you don't need to send the content to me or Mr. Freeman. You need to send it directly to Lucy, and she's very kindly allowed us to share her email address. The file you make, and they can edit it down, don't worry about it. If you're not up on editing skills and things like that, don't worry. You don't need to put any music over it or anything like that. Just be quite close to the camera, really energetic. But what you need to do is go to a service called WeTransfer.com. It looks a lot like this. You'll recognize it. It's a free transfer service for massive files. It doesn't cost anything. It's very secure. and you have to put your email address in, the email address of the person who you're sending it to, upload the file and send it. And you can see Lucy's address. There's elthwaite@discoveryed.com. And as I say, she's the senior news producer, and so it's all the topical content as well. Now, just one other thing, I know I'm asking an awful lot here, but you will need to send a consent form to say that you are okay to appear on all sorts of media, be it the internet and the television and all the global outreach that these channels will have. It's quite a big thing. It's a huge production, and it's a great opportunity for you to spend, maybe while the weather's so kind to us, get out in your gardens, try and vary the backdrops, vary the sports that you cover. I don't know, you might be a professional skipper, a trainee boxer, something a little bit out of the ordinary. You can cover football and all the usual sports, but you know, imagine if you're doing horse riding or just something that's a little bit different. Speak passionately, explain why you do it, what you love about it, obstacles you've had to overcome. Send that in, and you could find yourself on the big screen. Well worth a look. Our friends at Aardman Animation are slowly, over the rest of this year and early into next year, they are developing brand new technologies. They've partnered up with a few very, very influential technology people, and they're coming up with a brand new way to animate and engage in virtual and augmented reality. And it's definitely something to keep an eye on and keep it in the sort of back burner. They're developing a brand new version of reality, which I'll not go into too much detail because I want you, if you're interested, to get involved with this. It will be something you can eventually play and engage with on your device and your tablet and things like that, but be ahead of the game and get on this one. It's well worth a look. Look them up. It's Aardman Animation. Maybe go on their official site. A reminder, some weeks ago, if you remember, I said that Young Voices were happening from home. And that concert is taking place the 2nd, is it? Hopefully you signed up for that at the time and you've been involved with the rehearsals. Should be exciting. Maybe we can play some clips of that. We'll be going back to normal and sharing things on Facebook and YouTube. So we'll certainly share all those clips. Hopefully you'll feature, you'll get involved, and you've enjoyed being part of Young Voices at home. But a reminder, that takes place on the 2nd. And then there is a copy of this particular newspaper waiting for you when you get back to school, if it hasn't already arrived through your door. It's the Yorkshire Information Point, and the reason I want to show it you is that our very good friend Granny Norbag has a 4-page spread in the middle, and it features the best school in Rotherham, her favourite school, St Bede's, of course. May as well start with the best. And the School of the Month shows us with Granny Norbag when she came on her visit, when we helped make her Christmas song under the Christmas tree. That seems like an age ago now. Talks about the wonderful success we had with BAFTA, with our Woodles film. The ultramarathon man Ray Matthews used to be a pupil here at St Bede's, and the work he did to help support our sugar tax bid to get the dry turned into an Astro. A lovely mention of Cooper, and of course a little bit about Mrs Wassell. Little fact find information there, revealing her private thoughts. Oh, okay, it's quiz time. It is time to put Seth out of his misery. Are you going to win this league, or is someone who's currently on the leaderboard going to get the 10 coins and steal it from you, Seth? I do not know. It is so crucial. The tension is so much to bear. If only we had someone on the inside, a little bit like Uncle Jerry. You may have not been watching the documentary about Uncle Jerry. He effectively was the man who printed the Monopoly thing at McDonald's that used stickers. He was in charge of printing the stickers, and mysteriously he kept getting the £1 million and the high prize stickers and giving them to his friends and selling them on. Very interesting programme on about him at the minute. Everybody needs an Uncle Jerry, but there has not been any of that during this process of lockdown. There has been no Uncle Jerry on the scene at all. It's all been fair. I've spent many an hour trimming things and hiding names to make sure that things were fair. I've always published the order at which emails have come in for this quiz. So hopefully you'll take my word on this one that it has been honest and fair and done with great integrity. I'm beginning to sound like Dominic Cummings now, aren't I, in case you have doubts, but it's the truth. I wouldn't cheat when such high valued prizes were up for grabs and the honour of winning the Gold Coin League. So shall we go through the answers? This is important, the final quiz. Let's look at the answers. If you remember, question 1 was, what was the name of this toy shop that used to be in Rotherham? And it was of course called Cooper's. Question 2, the answer was Alice Cooper, to the name of the ageing rock star. Question 3, a person who makes barrels is called a Cooper, believe it or not. The actor in question 4 in his much younger days was Bradley Cooper. I think you're beginning to get the theme here now, aren't you? Question 5 was, the name of this car specifically was a Mini Cooper. Question 6, the young defender signed by Rotherham last year was Jake Cooper. Question 7, a hero of mine, the legendary comic and magician, was Tommy Cooper. I'd never particularly heard of this one. Question 8, the answer was Sly Cooper, the character that appears in those PlayStation games. Question 9, often called the punk poet, he is of course John Cooper Clarke. And question 10, according to the dog people as powered by rover.com, what was the 7th most popular name for a male dog in 2019? And the answer was Jack. What? You look surprised. You surely weren't expecting it to be Cooper. There's a little bit of SATs revision going on here. Accuracy. You didn't fall for the salesman patter, did you, and think it was Cooper? I think that was 3rd or 4th. In SATs, remember, the higher the value of the prize, the greater the effort required from you. You had to check that particular fact. It was Jack. Yes, you can see Cooper there was 3rd. So Jack was the answer that we were after. Speed was important, but accuracy was also required. Naughty Mr. Sharp. I'm sure there are 1 or 2 throwing things at their computer screens and TVs right now. I make no apologies because it's helpful SATs revision. You will thank me one day when you're doing your SATs papers. Unless there's a big virus outbreak, of course. So there you are, and that is the order in which they came in, shared in a spirit of openness and honesty. The first through was Matilda, and she sadly fell into the trap and put Cooper for number 10, otherwise perfect answers all round. Alana was next, and again exactly the same thing. She fell into the trap and put Cooper for 10. And I honestly thought this was going to go on and on and on all day because the answers were streaming in until this one came in. We got to the 3rd one, and someone who very accurately and precisely decided to check her answers. There was enough of a clue, so gave out question 10. The winner of the quiz was Miss Neal. Perfect answer sheet, and it came through just before 11 o'clock. Cooper's Toy Shop all the way down to the bottom, Jack. Very, very, very impressive, Miss Neal. Not only are you a master patisserie chef, you are also an excellent quizzer. So we need to give you those 10 points and see how that affects the overall leaderboard. And you've done it. Unlucky for some, usually the number 13, but not for you, Olivia. Well done. You have won the title of Lockdown Gold Coin Queen. You have won. Sorry, Seth. She's just beat you at the end. She was lying in 4th place with your sister there, Seth. But those 10 coins have boosted her right to the top. Well done. A deserved winner. Your act of kindness that you did for me, people will think it's a fix, and genuinely it is not. You can see the timestamps and everything. She very accurately did that. I am just so happy for you because your kindness has been repaid. Your prize, I'm sure you're wondering what it is. Well, it's made up of all sorts of things. There is a Meadowhall voucher in there. There are sweets and chocolates. There are puzzles. There are games. There's even things to read. This particular Jacqueline Wilson book, For Kids and It, which you might have seen on Sky recently. That brand new book is also yours, as well as a few other little surprises as well. You will get it before we break up for the summer. Well done. You deserve to be very proud of yourself today. Well done to everybody else who made it onto the leaderboard. You did astronomically well. You've contributed brilliantly to St. Bede's TV over these 10 weeks. Well done. But there had to be a winner, and it's gone to the very, very deserving Miss Neal. We should also mention that Nathan had a go. He was just a minute later at 11 o'clock, and he slipped up on the Cooper question. Kajik must have done some research because he put Oscar. He didn't fall for the trap. Daisy was next at 18 minutes past 11, and she slipped up with question 10. She fell for the trap, as did Daisy. who came through about 10 seconds after the other Daisy. And then later in the afternoon on Friday, perhaps with a little bit of help or edging the bets with Kajik's input, I'm sure, Liliana had to go and got all 10 correct. So well done, Lil, but you were just a little bit behind on the time. But well done, you got 10 out of 10. On any other given day, that would have won you the prize, and would have been a tie, wouldn't it, at the top? Anyway, well done. Certainly enjoyed playing the quiz. Hopefully we've learnt not to rush into things and double check our answers. It will be very important one day when we come to do some sort of written examination. And always remember, if the prize is high, it usually wants a little bit more from you. That's it. St Bede's TV is no more. We've got to start packing things down and preparing to get ready for school. It's been very unusual. Some people have taken great offence that we've been referring to this as lockdown. It's not really been a lockdown, is it? It's not like being in prison. We've been able to get out and exercise and go to the shops and various things. But certain things, certainly all our plans have gone. A little bit like this young lady who probably had a very good day at the beach planned, and then she meets a sign saying no dogs, no bikes, no swimming, and then that's very clearly what she intended to do for the day. It's felt like that, hasn't it, with all our plans and birthday parties and all sorts of things. They just had to either be cancelled or put on hold. People have lost money, people have missed opportunities, things that probably will never be repeated again. It's been an unusual time, but whichever way you look at it, it's certainly been a very different time. Maybe we've developed new skills, maybe we've forged new friendships, things that you may have never been interested in. This is not just a blue background. No, I've taken into doing a lot more photography. While I was out with Cooper, while we've had such beautiful weather. You can see here it's actually a shot of the sky, and then I was inspired by whoever took the photograph. I've been getting into all sorts of different positions to take photos. There's an unusual one of the pylon that you can see behind. Because we've had the time, we've been able to do these things. I've been able to be very creative. I'm quite happy. Normally I'm forever playing catch up or doing things very, very quickly. It's been nice to think for a while and develop ideas, and rather than forever be chasing, I've got now a nice bank of things ready so we can pursue them. It's often the thing that we crave is time, and we've certainly had a lot of it recently. And in the short term, I don't think the virus is particularly going to go away, and that's a way of life that we're probably just going to have to get used to as businesses and schools and churches and all sorts of, just every aspect of daily life will be making these measures that we will have to live with. And I guess coming back to school, broadly speaking, you'll be in one of three camps. You'll either be there ready to go and can't wait to get back, desperately excited to be going back. You might be very anxious and very nervous and very unsure about going back, and you're in this sort of middle bubble where you don't know what to do, whether to stay off, to go back. You're going to perhaps wait and see how things develop, or you're in the third camp where you absolutely are not coming back. You can't even think about going back to school until, say, September, because either you have health issues or people you live with have perhaps underlying medical issues, and you do not have a guarantee that it's safe to go back to school. We'll be doing all that we can, but because there's no guarantee, that's influence which camp you belong in. And hopefully, you never know, the things that we were doing every day without even thinking about them, what we perhaps call normal life, it will return hopefully one day. And scenes like this that we were so used to and just took for granted now seem like just a distant memory. And during this period, it's been quite difficult. It's been happy and sad. It's seen the birth of new life and new words spoken with these two, and of course we've witnessed and experienced the end of a long life, and you probably may have your own experiences as well, which have made this period of lockdown either very intense, very happy, very sad. Hopefully the one thing that you have done is altered your attitude, or maybe the way that you relate to school. Your parents might have a newfound appreciation of teachers and teaching. Maybe you yourself will totally re-evaluate what you think about school and how much value you put on friendship and just daily contact with people and friends your own age. For me, I think the most important thing that's come out of this lockdown, one key message is that you should film always in landscape. Trivial, I know, but generally I think your, or certainly people's relationship with technology has been tested, and it has forced people to perhaps embrace technology in a way that they would never have done before. Our very own Father John, for example, he's been doing Google Meets to conduct meetings either with fellow clergymen or meetings for his duties at St Bernard's and St Bede's, as well as broadcasting. He might actually come up with his own YouTube channel. I've offered to help him with that and given some of his outstanding performances, because he has a marvellous knowledge up here, and if he can share that with a wider audience on YouTube, then we should do the type of things that we should be sharing. We would have never have considered this without a lockdown. If you found that the lockdown has been particularly long and really quite painful, it might be because you don't know how to engage with technology, or you've not had the ability or the access to technology. And again, that might ask questions. Certain schools have really thrived and others have virtually come to a standstill, almost like a ghost town. And that was because lockdown happened very, very quickly. The children in Scotland, for example, they just before the start of this year, they all got free iPads. The Scottish government decided that that's just what they wanted to do. So things like Apple Classroom and the way that people have been using and communicating and developing their creativity, as well as doing their ordinary academic work on iPads, it's not been a problem in Scotland. They were already ahead of the game and have coped really quite well. They don't particularly need the school building when they're going back. They're the type of questions that are being asked.
Coronavirus!
And we've demonstrated that, of course, because we did our wonderful song, didn't we? We'll Meet Again, and Mrs. Hart very kindly sent me this fine selection of Grey Goose. There's a lesson there, Mrs. Chadbourne. Kindness, that.
Run.
But doesn't it go to show that what we can do when we put our minds together?
Yeah.
We've seen some absolutely superb homeschooling going on. Your parents deserve the biggest pat on the back. I know they've been unofficially rating themselves with Ofsted ratings and things like that, but they have done remarkably well. You must thank Mum, Dad, Grandma, whoever it happens to be that's been helping you with your schoolwork, as well as allowing you to be creative and have fun as well. It's not been easy for anybody in particular, but mums and dads have really been tested. So make sure you say thank you and maybe use your creative skills to make them something as a marker of your thanks for this time during lockdown. We haven't been caught out in terms of technology. I think we've been ahead of the game. Mr. Freeman has done some remarkable work with his channel on Facebook, as has Miss Parkin. They've both worked tirelessly, and your teachers have been constantly working, providing ideas and inspiration through the school websites. I feel if this virus comes along again in 12 months' time, maybe in 2 or 3 years' time, we will be even better prepared, because we'll be even more well established on with our ability to just, at the flick of a switch, go to remote learning. But hopefully that will never, ever, ever happen. It is slightly worrying that this week South Korea, who have been absolutely remarkable with their ability to track and trace and monitor and test, and they've really managed the virus outbreak in their country extremely well. Worryingly, they've had a huge spike, and things seem to be going a little bit out of control over there, which is why I say that we probably might not have seen the end of St Bede's TV. The virus will depend on how well people behave. It's spread from person to person really quite easily, which is why we must really follow the strict social distancing measures that Mrs. Wassell has put in place. You won't recognise school when you come back in. There'll be plastic sheets here, and there'll be screens there, and every other computer out of use, the only alternate ones. There'll be much wider spaces for passing in corridors. There'll be lots and lots of changes, which will mean that we have to get used to the idea, which is why we have to drip feed people back. Remember, it's a personal decision. If you're not confident, if you're very anxious about this, We can't offer you any guarantee, therefore school might not be the right venue for you. We may see some of you before the summer break, we may not. Hopefully we will be able to keep in touch. We'll do regular posts on the Woodles channel, and we'll post things ordinarily on our Facebook page and things like that. Do keep in touch if you're not able to come back into school. Look after yourselves, look after those around you. Have fun, enjoy next week. We've all been sort of working flat out. The weather looks good. It is officially our second week of half term, so enjoy it, relax a little bit, do what you want to do for a week. Have fun, and hopefully we'll see you soon.